I'm Gabby Nascimento. This is 11th grade U.S. history, and today we're going to be talking about the Gilded Age. In this video, we will discuss where the Gilded Age got the name the Gilded Age and immigration in the U.S.
Gabby, why do we call this time period the Gilded Age? Doesn't gilded mean to cover something thinly with gold paint or gold leaf?
Yes, me from the past. If you actually think about this title, all of the problems were gilded. From the outside perspective, life appeared very progressive and lavish, which caused people to look past the robber barons, harsh immigration laws, and raise class divisions.
I'll take it over from here. The Gilded Age was a time of extreme economic change and progression. Essentially, it was an age of invention and industry. People moved from farms to cities, and immigrants came to the U.S. looking for opportunity. This abrupt change in the life was due to the Industrial Revolution. Technological advances changed the way people transported. For example, people went from using stagecoaches to railroads, which was a much faster form of transportation at the time. Resources in the United States, like lumber, gold, and silver, increased the demand for improved transportation. Railroad development flourished as trains moved goods from the west to the east.
Choo-choo!
What's that coming? Roads increased from 35 to 93 miles. All of this industry produced wealth for a number of businessmen, including John D. Rockefeller in oil, Andrew Carnegie in steel, and J.P. Morgan in finance. Another discovery of the Gilded Age was machine power, which allowed machines to work much quicker and more efficiently. All this advancement led to urbanization, which made the rural areas much more populated. Many immigrants came to the U.S. searching for job opportunities, although many had to live in overcrowded tenements. Victorians were individuals who flourished at the time. They dressed in fancy garments to present themselves more professionally. Women sought reform and eventually moved into higher-ranking positions, while African Americans were able to run for Senate. Inventors such as Thomas Edison, the Wright brothers, and Alexander Graham Bell created inventions like the light bulb, the Kodak camera, and the telephone, which are now inventions that greatly benefit society.
Now, the economy wasn't the only thing taking a major turn during the Gilded Age. Big businessmen started to take advantage of the ever-growing difference between the wealthy and the poor, and started creating monopolies. Specifically, these monopolies use unethical practices to get ahead of other companies. So, robber barons. Not those type of robbers. Well, not exactly. People who use these practices were called robber barons. Robber barons consistently treated workers poorly and found ways to use vertical and horizontal integration practices to develop their business. Even worse was the fact that they made absurd amounts of money and still refused to donate to philanthropic organizations. Even history makers that changed the trajectory of American business and international economy were examples of robber barons. For example, Cornelius Vanderbilt became one of the wealthiest men in history due to success in large businesses like the shipping and railroad industry, and was regarded as a robber baron because of how poorly he treated his workers and as well his disbelief in philanthropy.
Moving on to captains of industry. Captains of industry existed in the Gilded Age as leaders in the businesses growing the most in power and wealth.
So Jack, what makes someone a captain of industry?
Yeah, great question, Athena. Contributions were more positive rather than negative. Captains of industry preached philanthropy for all wealthy men. In their industries of success, they treated their workers well and provided jobs for Americans. Some examples of captains of industry include John D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie.
Furthermore, jobs in factories became more available. Industrialists also discovered new ways to finance and organize business. This success led them to create millions of jobs for Americans. Shopkeepers, doctors, lawyers, and others in the growing middle class profited from the increase in business.
Telegraph lines were installed all over the West from the Missouri River to the Pacific Ocean, allowing people to communicate during this time of expansion. The ownership of the new territories made it much easier to access a variety of resources and therefore making trade more of a possibility. Vanderbilt became a professional of trade and transportation, establishing a profitable route from New York to San Francisco in a time to carry out many individuals to gold fields. Wait, there's nothing in there.
Some reasons to leave your country. Push factors. What are reasons to come to America? Pull factors.
You gotta try this. You gotta try.
Push factors. People want to come to America due to the rapid population growth in Europe in the 1800s. The Irish potato famine led to a wave of Irish immigration, and land was not suitable for farming in Europe. There was a lot of religious persecution in Europe as well. Many Russian and Polish Jews fled their villages to escape deadly attacks, and Armenian immigrants faced prosecution from the Turks and a largely Muslim Ottoman Empire.
People were pulled to America because the idea of a free life in a democratic society. European immigrants wanted to live in a country that provided opportunities to achieve their dreams. The United States also had ample farmland, minerals, and forests. Booming industries of America offered jobs to many unskilled workers, and America letters were letters from friends and relatives that exaggerated the facts of living in America.
Two major points for immigration were Ellis Island and Angel Island. Ellis Island was an immigration station built in 1892, located on a small piece of land in the New York Harbor, and it was a port of entry for most European immigrants arriving in New York. Angel Island was an immigration port between 1910 and 1940, located in San Francisco Bay, and was a port of entry for many Asian immigrants.
It's time for the mystery document. How this works is I will be given a document and guess which act it's from and which section of the document it is. In 1943, when China was a member of the Allied Nations during World War II, Congress repealed all exclusion acts. However, quotas remained, leaving a yearly limit of 105 Chinese immigrants. Foreign-born Chinese also won the right to seek naturalization. I'm guessing Chinese Exclusion Act. Section 4. So, was that correct?
Wrong.
So, turns out it was Section 6. In the 1850s, many Chinese people immigrated to the United States due to the California gold rush. They hoped to strike rich and then go home with their newfound wealth. Chinese immigrants also worked in the mining business. They made up about 20% of the mining population. They worked in jobs typically meant for women at the time, such as cooking and cleaning. And Chinese workers were more sought out than white workers since they had a reputation of being lazy. Chinese people were recruited to come over and work on the railroads. Many Chinese people were held back by governmental laws. There were mobs of people who would roam the streets and burn down homes of Chinese immigrants. There was also the Chinese Exclusion Act. This law prohibited immigration by Chinese laborers for 10 years. Those who wished to enter the United States needed approval from the Chinese government, and it took 61 years for this act to be repealed.
Due to the poverty and civil unrest in Mexico, people became tempted to leave. Since immigration from Asia was limited, there was a new demand for labor. America was attractive because travel was fast and easy due to new railroad lines. Additionally, wages in the United States were high. For people immigrating from Canada, there was a push and pull factors as well. Most of them were French Canadians from Quebec. In Canada, there were not many opportunities and people were unhappy. People were pulled to America because it was known as a place of opportunity. And many Canadians that came to the U.S. found work within textile mills and lumber camps.
Thanks for watching.
11th grade U.S. history!
The Gilded Age!
Yeah!